Okay, class, this is part two of the previous lesson on how we created the sine function. And so in this lesson, we're going to kind of look at a couple additional features. So let's go ahead and get started. So if you recall, we developed the sine function, and all of this was derived from the components of the unit circle. Okay, now a couple of things we want to make a note of. If you take a look, the y values, as I mentioned, repeats itself after x is equal to 2 pi. Remember, we said that this is a periodic function, and so this function actually repeats itself after 2 pi. Okay, and so for this periodic function, we would say that sine of x plus 2 pi is equivalent to sine of x because it repeats itself, so the function is essentially sine of x for all x values. And then the period for this function is 2 pi. As I said, it repeats itself after every 2 pi, so that is the period for this function. Now let's take a look at a couple other key features. Okay, so if you notice, there is a midline to this function, and this midline happens to be the x-axis. Okay, and this is the horizontal line that is halfway between the maximum and minimum points of the graph. So you'll see there's a maximum here, maximum, maximum, and then down here we have minimums and minimums. Okay, so halfway in between is the midline. The other component of this graph is the amplitude, and amplitude is the distance from the midline to the maximum or minimum value. So from here to here is the amplitude. Also from the midline down to the minimum is also our amplitude. Okay, so that is our measure of amplitude. Now the domain for this function obviously goes from negative infinity, right, because it goes all the way to the left, and it can also go all the way to the right. And so there are infinitely many zeros occurring at every integer multiple of pi. Okay, now the range would be our y values, and for this function our range goes as high as 1 and it goes down as low as -1. So then we would say that the range is from -1 to 1. All right, so then just to summarize, the graph of the function sine of x has a midline at y equals 0. Okay, at y equals 0 we have the midline, and then it has an amplitude of 1. So that's the distance from the midline to the maximum or to the minimum. Okay, so hopefully that made sense. If you have any questions or need further clarifications, please go back to the beginning of this recording and listen to it again. Thank you.